Okay, so it's my favorite time of the year, and it's not Christmas yet because
I thought it was Christmas. It is Christmas. Some places they've already
yeah,
started decorating.
oh yeah, I drove to an HOA meeting today, and there were already people with like decorations up, and I'm like, it's not even Thanksgiving. And as somebody with a December 5th birthday, do not decorate before my birthday. I do not appreciate you. As I found out, we're going
Most
Christmas
of the
tree
world's going to
shopping.
start before
Yeah.
December 5th. Sorry.
But anyway, we have all three Elijah Craigs from 2023, which is fun because this is coming up on year 3 of the channel. And the very first video we released was
Don't
us.
watch it.
Don't watch it. Oh my God, it's just so bad. We need to do that. We need to do a live stream where we rewatch some old things. It is so bad. I don't know how you guys stuck with us, and we appreciate it,
Appreciate you.
especially you Patreons that for some reason, when we were that terrible, gave us money. Like, I don't understand, but you know what? Maybe it's all because Brian, who's actually not here right now. But tonight, we are going to try all 3 batches of 2023. So that is A123, B523, and C923. The thing that matters this year is this is the first year where the age statement was removed. So on the first one, that is the last traditional 12-year that we had. Batch B is the 11-year, 5 months, and batch C is 13 years, 7 months. So we know from the community that everybody says C is the most amazing thing since Elijah Craig was born or something like that. But we want to try. So it's not blind, but I mean, we don't really have a dog in the fight anyway, because I just love Elijah Craig barrel proof. So I'm just, this
Agreed.
is like fat kid rolling around in a candy store right now. Uh, so yeah, so we'll see what we think. What do you think, Chuck?
I mean, I'm not even sure I set out to buy all three of these and was just pleasantly surprised that I stumbled into all three of them. I say all
Yeah.
three of them. The first two. The third one I definitely hunted based on the age statement. So I
Yeah.
contribute, I was out there similar to everybody else, buying into the hype, having to see was it worth it. So but I'm Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is always a buy.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite pours on the shelf. I think I have, I don't know, like 12 or 15 up there, something like that. But
So on the nose, they're all pretty similar.
they are pretty similar. I'd say the C is more robust in its notes. So like just I get maybe some consistencies across them for me, at least tonight, or a little bit of cherry, a little bit of oak, but also a little bit of chocolate. Like I'm getting some cocoa.
Yeah.
And maybe the cocoa is most pronounced on batch C.
Yeah. So I will say out of all of them, batch B is the weakest nose. I feel like
I'd
A and
probably
C hang pretty close together.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I was really enjoying A. Like as you were talking, I was just sitting
Yeah.
here smelling A.
I mean, I might even
Yeah.
give it a little bit to A personally. Like it's more balanced. There's more cherry and caramel, vanilla coming forward. Uh, but if I had to guess, I'm going to go with you kind of enjoy C a little bit more because I feel like the oak takes a more predominant note over those. Uh, and so you still get those, but yeah, the oak definitely comes in and it's like, hey, just letting you know, there's a lot of oak in this one. So that's kind of
Yeah.
where I am.
Honestly, C is an oaky Tootsie Roll to me. Like I plenty of oak, but it's the sweetness, chocolate, and vanilla. And which that manifests itself into like an oaky Tootsie Roll.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so I think we're going to do this very similar to our Hardens Creek, probably. As of right now, we're split. I'm going to go with A, and Chuck is going to go with C, whereas B just doesn't hold up, unfortunately. It's still good, but not to the other
Yeah, I
two.
mean, depends on the bourbon. I mean, some start out very weak on the nose, but they power through on
Mm-hmm.
the palate and the finish. So let's see.
So A is super sweet, caramel, but it's got a good cherry note in it, and then it is very viscous, coating the whole mouth, um, and finishes with those baking spices, and the oak comes in on the finish very nicely. So
Yeah, for sure. For me, that oak comes in even. It's like when that palate leaves, that drying oak kind of comes in, and then you get
yeah,
some of those baking spices. Even before you finish before you finish the finish. I was gonna just check on proof point here. So A is 125.6,
yep,
B is 124.2. Do you have
that's
C in front of you?
133.0.
Yeah. So B is the weakest proof, but basically
Yep.
A and B are very close to each other, and C is quite a bit or a few proof points higher.
Yeah. I would say A is just your like traditional Elijah Craig barrel proof. Nothing
Yeah.
exceptional, nothing terrible. Like if I'm gonna buy an
I
Elijah
mean,
Craig barrel proof,
isn't an
this
Elijah
is
Craig barrel proof exceptional?
yes. But I'm saying within the Elijah Craig barrel proof
Fair.
spectrum.
Fair.
Like
Okay.
this would be like if I'm gonna do a blind tasting and try to figure out which are the best batches, which are the worst batches, this is my like go-to standard. Like this is middle of the road.
Yeah, I'd agree that's like very representative of Elijah Craig barrel proof. I'm sure there's some on my shelf that I would take before this, but also some that this beats uh,
Yeah.
considerably.
All right. So B is just sweet. Like I don't get very much oak at all, and I just get it is a like toasted marshmallow sugary bomb.
Yeah, I'm probably still getting a little bit more oak than you are in your description, and definitely, it finishes with a spiciness,
Yeah.
maybe a little less complex than the A batch A.
Yeah.
But for the lack of nose that we perceived, a very nice palate finish. To be honest, like it came
Mhm.
back a little bit. I'd say
Yeah.
it gave it a valiant effort in the palate and finish.
Yeah. And I think when we originally reviewed this, we'd have to go back and look at the video. We said that it was like a two-note bourbon, that it wasn't very complex. And that's again what I'm getting. It's super sweet and then a little oaky, spicy finish. But that's it. There's no like cherry notes, there's no extra things in there. It's just this is what it is, and this is where we go. End of story.
Yeah, and sometimes as we sit, like the glasses open up, and sometimes you go back to the nose and you get other notes, and B is still not giving me much different from the original um, from our original assessment. So to me,
Yeah.
it's still I'd say your summary of a two note bourbon is
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, I'm just getting a depth on the nose even of
Mm-hmm.
batch C. Like,
So it definitely drinks way higher proof than the other two, but there is a complexity to it. The oak is there the entire time, but the great thing about it is it gets overpowered by the other notes. So like the cherry comes in ahead of it, the caramel comes in ahead of it. There's even a little bit of smokiness that comes in, or I wouldn't go smokiness, like char, that comes in ahead of it. And but the oak is like your reset point, which is interesting because you get this and then you go back to the oak, and then you get this and you go back to the oak. Uh, that makes it very, very good.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. You said it was higher, or like you noticed the proof point immediately that it was higher. I didn't. And I think the reason my palate didn't pick up that proof point initially was because of one, the viscosity. So
Mm-hmm.
it's super viscous. So it just like that flavor just coats your mouth. And the flavor that you initially get is that cherry, but it's like I guess I'm picturing like a boat of oak, which a boat made out of oak, and then like the cherries on there, like it's the oak's carrying it, but it's like the being championed by the cherry and the vanilla flavors because it's like you said,
Yeah.
it's the oak is maybe taking a step back where it's not overpowering, but it's definitely carrying the bourbon.
Yeah. And it is super complex. There's so many flavors. You're going to go back to it and drink it over and over again. Unfortunately, I have a clear winner, but I have a huge caveat with that clear winner. So,
I need to, because I'm a thorough researcher, so I want to go
yeah.
back and verify my initial opinions.
Yeah.
So give me a
Cool.
moment, maybe talk amongst yourselves.
All right. So I'll go first and you can tell me how I'm completely wrong and then like school me, which will be great. So my favorite without a doubt is batch C, but my caveat to this is if you don't like high proof bourbon, I think A is going to be your favorite. I think A is that great well-roundedness across the board, not too much of anything. And if you're not a crazy person like we are that's super into bourbon and you love drinking barrel proof, uh batch A is more your jam. There are days that I don't want to drink barrel proof. I might be tempted to go to batch A. Batch C is a whole nother beast. It is up there. You're gonna feel that. You get the burn, you get like the tingling in the mouth and everything like that. And because of that, I love it and I think it's great. And with all the complexity and the oak and everything like that. So I guess my point is if you're just like getting into barrel proof bourbon, buy A and C, but you're probably going to enjoy A when you get further in your journey, then go to C. Uh, but yeah, C is my favorite. I jumped on the bandwagon. I'm sorry.
I think without a doubt, C is the best of this lineup. Just from start to finish, both the nose, like I thought the nose was a little better. You disagreed at least on the nose, but then came around on the
Yep.
palate and the finish. To me, yeah, from start to finish, both in the complexity of the nose, the depth of the flavors of the oak, the cherry, and it's like this is what we all want in a Elijah Craig barrel proof. I'd be curious to taste this next to B520 or C920 because those are two of our like those are legend status in our minds as far as the Elijah Craig barrel proofs. Um, I disagree with you that the batch A is like your low proof version of Elijah Craig barrel proof because I still think it drinks as 125 proof. So if you're a 100 proof drinker or God forbid, Basil Hayden's like this ain't for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe someday, but not currently. I think they drink at 120 proof. So if you're not used to barrel strength bourbons, like you're not even gonna like batch A.
Yeah.
Batch C, it's one of those you could pour a 1 ounce pour and sip on it for probably 30 minutes to an hour because it's like that. It's like the flavor and the finish that's left in your palate is like you don't need to take that many sips to still get the flavor, which is to me just the joy of that type of bourbon.
We can agree that batch C is the closest you're going to get to like if you don't have a Stag Junior, or I guess it's Stag now, or a George T. Stag, or some of those super rare, hard to find barrel proof bourbons that people are always talking about at $70, like you can put this on your shelf and it's going to hold up to those. Again, it's not going to be the bottle pretty shininess that you want, but quality wise, you're pretty dang close.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm one that fights the establishment, I guess, or fights the hype. I want to not like something, as opposed to you, like TJ, you just like buy into the hype. So we provide a nice balance here on the channel. But gosh dang it, this like totally lives up to the hype. This is definitely like I think we've had some single barrels, some private barrels recently. Well, I mean, we had one last year that won our best of 2022 that are probably better, but for sure it's the best batch since C920.
Yeah, that we've had for a long time. Like, yeah.
So it's the best batch in the last 3 years.
Yes.
Hands down. This is fantastic bourbon. And they solidify their status because honestly, Makers was, particularly with the wood finish series, were really close in that best of value for
Mm-hmm.
us. But honestly, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof solidifies their presence as the best buy in bourbon.
Batsy, thank you so much. Heaven Hill, you did wonderful. Let's see more like it. And with that, we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of this batch C. Um, Stay tuned for our best of bourbon
Oh, yeah.
2023 because I guarantee this is going to be somewhere in the top five. Stamp it now. Put my name on it.
It's
Top
gonna
five,
take
or I
on
leave the channel.
it's gonna take on Frankfurt and Claremont that are $100
Ooh,
more than it. Just saying.
there
It's
you
gonna be
go.
great. We've
That's gonna be
yeah,
great.
we've got a great best of this year. We did pretty good. So
There we go. Stay neat.